We live? All right, we live. Hey there, fools. It's Mizzah Tee, and welcome to Gamers at Large, episode 63. Is that where we are? Episode 63. I'm your host, Mizzah Tee, and let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's get our introductions in, starting on my right with the Good Shepherd.
Hey, what's going on, peoples? It's Good Shepherd. You know us. We're about to get down to some gaming goodness. Let's do this.
All right, fools. Next to him we have Shadow Fox, but he is muted right now. We'll come back to him. And next to him we have Mr. Red Fox. Mr. Red Fox.
Is there an echo?
Yeah, I'm here.
This is a little weird.
Wow.
But
I believe Dr. Field's a culprit.
You said on me?
Yes, you.
yes, it is.
Oh, sorry about that. This is Dr. Feelgood, guys. The guy with the smooth moves and nice tunes, always in a damn good gaming mood. Let's get this party started because I am hype.
Yeah. What we were saying is that you're causing the echo because you're running two screens or something going on over there.
Oh, my bad. Give me a second.
And you interrupted my intro.
Yeah, you messed up.
But anyway, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, and I'm about to Hulk out over here because someone keeps on interrupting my intro. Actually, no. I'm actually
something. Sorry, what?
I'm ecstatic with joy. This is going to be an awesome G&L, and let's dive into it.
All right. Next to him we have Jay. Do your thing.
Oh, what's up, peeps? Looking forward to a great show tonight.
Okay, looks like we just lost a couple of foods. Hopefully they come back. And I know I'm messing people up going from voice to voice. Let me start doing that. So first up, the 10 billion pound elephant in the room, Splatoon. Everybody, I want to give your impressions of the. I don't know why I cannot remember the name of it. It's the
Test Fire.
Thank you, Test Fire.
And before we get started, is this better, guys? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good now.
We can hear you now.
I'm sorry, Red Fox, for ruining your intro, but you haven't come up with anything snappy yet, so I guess it's not a huge loss.
Oh,
You cut me to the quick. You cut me to the quick. Ouch. If I had a super ego, it would be hurt, but I don't. It's just a normal ego. So it's all right.
do we have Shadow Fox? Are you there, Shadow?
I am present. Ninjaing as normal.
All right. So, like I said, we're gonna discuss the what is it called again, guys?
The Global Test Fire.
I don't know why I'm having so much trouble remembering that. I have no idea. But yeah, let me just go ahead and give us your impressions. Go ahead. You can go ahead and start it, Ken.
Where should I begin?
Why'd you have to put the Call of Duty head first? You know he's going to talk for like 2 hours, right?
Call of Duty head. I will admit I am a fan, or was a fan of Call of Duty, but I have not played the last 3 iterations. So,
Wow.
Anyway, about Splatoon, it is the next standard in shooters, period, while not exactly being a traditional shooter. I will say that I've been hyping this game since it was announced and shown off last year at E3. My hype has not waned. In fact, since this test fire, hot damn, even my wife is mad at me because she missed the first 2 because I didn't tell her about them. But in my defense, I knew she liked the game, but I let her play the whole 3rd one, the last test fire. I played like 2 matches, she played the rest of it. She had so much fun, and she's not big on shooters, that when I told her there were 2 other ones, she's like, got mad at me and said, why didn't I tell her? I'm like, well, you were asleep during the second one. You were beautiful, and I didn't want to wake you up. But anyway, back on point. I had so much fun. It's the most fun I've had in a very, 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 very long time. I'm thinking like maybe 5th or 6th gen fun. And as in the words of my wife, I'm jonesing. I need fantasy life, maybe crack life, but Splatoon is heroin, and it's multicolored in different assortment of flavors, and I gotta have it.
Cool. All right. Next up, Jay, give us your thoughts.
Actually, I didn't get a chance to play it because I was moving this weekend.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
You know
How
what?
dare
I'm
you be
sorry.
a responsible adult?
That's
How
not an
dare
excuse.
you?
I did
How
not accept
dare
it. That's
you?
not an excuse.
No,
It
no,
doesn't
no,
matter
no,
if you don't
no.
listen.
Wait. I'm attacking Jay right now. Hold on, you people. How dare you? How dare you? We told you just screw everything else and connect your system first, and you'd have been fine. But no, you had to be responsible and assemble everything correctly. Shame on you.
Well, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but like I said, if you were here to help, then maybe you would have understood.
Well,
But
if you would,
had
see,
24 hours
if you would have
myself,
told me you were moving this weekend, perhaps I would have been available to help you.
I'm
God,
just saying I've been moving for the past 2 weekends.
I don't know when you're moving and what date. You didn't say crap, dude. Come on.
Nintendo
Please
gave you
decapitate each other and
a
get it over with.
24-hour heads up. You should have been ready.
Exactly. You had 24 hours and you need to get yourself
To
together.
the midweek show, why do you think I said they should have let it happen for the whole weekend? I was being selfish when I said that. Because I know I'm going to be able to play till today.
Well, I didn't go to the midweek show, so
And whose fault is that?
You said you wanted more people to be in there, and I was like, okay, I'll let
You
other
could have
people
listened
in
to
there.
it.
Yep, that's right. Ain't no
I
excuse.
did. Okay, fine. God, you guys are so man. Whatever.
All right, Red, give us your thoughts.
I only played one session. I didn't play the other two. I just
Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Hold on. Nintendo fans are getting exposed in this podcast.
No. I had hey. I went and got splatted and pre-ordered this game with 2 amiibos, the ink boy and the ink girl, without playing the dang test fire. I played the test fire just to am I really gonna like this? Will I have to cancel my pre-order? Now, of course, I would create a time machine, go back in time, and slap my future self if I did that, or past self, or however that jibes in temporal context. But it was okay. I had fun with the game, played a few matches, played on a few maps, enjoyed it. This game it's not going to consume my life like Mario Kart or Xenoblade Chronicles X, but it's going to be a nice game to add to my library. And no matter how awesome this game is going to be, from what I've seen of just the test fire, I know that where Nintendo can take this franchise from where it is right now, if it gets the support it needs, I look forward to seeing how this thing grows and changes and becomes something in the future.
Cool. What about you, Shout Out Fox? Did you get a chance to play it?
Man, let me tell you something. I just had a wonderful time playing this game, and technically, let me say that it is amazing. It is a technical marvel, if you will, and I've enjoyed playing every bit of it in rock solid 1080p, 60 frames per second with look at the TV and Splatoon Test Fire demo. Press LR and press ZR and ZL, and once you press ZR ZL, it says internet connection issue, and it says that the servers are not available and it's undergoing maintenance. Please try again later. Because every time that I attempted to connect, it was between the hours that Nintendo did not want. So now I have an application sitting on my Wii U for this entire weekend, and every single time that I tried to attempt to connect to it, I got a lovely 1080p application to tell me to go to the website or nah.
And you're not going to delete that application either.
No, I'm not. It's going to stay there. It's been a very interesting Mother's Day weekend and planning for that and other things going on. I don't know if any of you guys are parents of children that age or not, but Pinewood Derby District races were this weekend, and that, amongst other things, have caused me to not be present for these events. And 2:00 in the morning Eastern Standard Time is not a go.
Yeah,
So,
some of those times are ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know if they were thinking about Japanese throughput as far as because what I understand, this was worldwide.
Yeah, it was.
So
Yeah, it was global. I had multiple Japanese teammates actually.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Isn't this Nintendo's first attempt at an online beta anyway?
I believe so.
Yes, it is.
Any other
I
time
don't think they've done it for any other game. So yeah, this is well, I don't know. This is the first for them, and I guess they want to get it right the first time. But yeah, well, it's definitely better than the Destiny Alpha, and I haven't even connected. So there you go.
I think if they wanted to get it right, they could have given us a little bit more time with it. That's my only gripe is it was so limited as far as the time goes and the window. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were just gauging that to figure out, how much server space they needed to dedicate for this, or something to that effect. Now, that's the only thing I could really think of. But
yeah, I'm sure it wasn't to troll us like a lot of Nintendo fans like to think.
Yeah. Think for yourself. We all know Nintendo likes to troll us.
To be fair, when you switch from to the website or it animates pretty well, and the little squid little GIF animation is pretty awesome, and it fades out. There's a little focus, little flare going there with Splatoon in the background, and the Splatoon Global Test Fire hasn't started yet. Would you like to launch the in-there browser and go to the official website to check the event details? Mm-hmm. Even that little window is animated, so that's kind of there's a lot of detail.
It's a little marketing. I'm sure there's a little marketing involved with that too. So.
Oh yeah. Man, but everything I've seen, though, I've seen a lot of people's Let's Plays and stuff like that. It just looks like a lot of fun to me. We could go into some political things about people still deciding not to buy this game because of voice chat.
We're not going to do
that. Oh my god.
Because we'll be here forever.
When we starting something,
I'm sure we can all do our own individual videos.
Shadow,
we'll go for a new record, 6 hours.
Well, Shadow, I got a gift for you, man. I actually game capped like the entire 3 hours.
Sweet.
So I'm gonna be uploading that, but yeah, I got it all. 720p, 60 frames per second for you.
You're duping again, by the way.
I'm what?
Show your power.
Yeah,
You're duping everything.
What the hell?
So is it 720p or is the capture? Is your capture card picking it up as 1080p, 1080i, or anything like that?
It can, but no, I think the game is actually in 720p.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 720p.
Yeah.
59.94 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not gonna be
like the other two consoles, but this is the time you're saying everything is running at 60 frames per second. But I digress.
Well, there is that missing frame, so.
Yeah.
Where did that frame go?
Yeah. So
yeah, it was.
You echoing all day, son.
That's a thing that I wanted to devolve into that at one point too, because I really wanted to talk about that individual, that forum goer at Eurogamer that decided to create this site and make money. But I guess that's another topic at another time. But people are taking his information as God. It is awesome. And I'm like, my capture card is saying 59.9 every single time, and it is taking every bit that is coming across the stream. It is pulling that. It is never 60.
Yeah, I set mine up for automatic, and it says 59.9, I think.
Yeah, that's the NSTC standard. I mean, when it actually comes over the wire. So please tell me what they're doing internally that's different.
And the fact that we're even arguing over like 1 frame or a fraction of a frame is kind of ridiculous.
Look, we all know.
I'm listening to you guys, and I'm like, really, guys?
Yeah.
Look, we all know that 1 frame just ruins the whole game. It was working. It was working for me if it had been 60, but that 1 frame.
Okay, are we playing games with Mario specs?
It makes Mario Kart
we're
unplayable.
playing specs.
Yeah.
We're playing specs while not knowing nothing about it. It's like a non-car mechanic talking about car mechanics. It's awesome.
All right, so shut. What were your impressions of the actual game?
I got about an hour 20.
Nice.
I'm probably one of the few people I've met so far that actually liked the gyro. I'm gonna lie to you, it was a little awkward at first.
I like it too.
But the game felt more immersive. It was more fun. It was more exciting. You had to put more effort into everything. But when you got it right, you got it right. So I've had dudes like they thought they had me, and I just pivoted and bam, bam, bam. I'm like, ha! And then I keep on putting down my paint. You've just been split.
Well, since me and Jay are the only lames here that haven't played it, when it comes to the gyro, is it 1-to-1 like say some of the other games are like you know how Nintendo Land and Wii Fit, where you, if you want to, optionally, instead of using the analog stick to look around, you can look around just by moving the gamepad. Is it 1-to-1 like that, or is it inverted?
It's
Like you look up
It's
and
one
look
to
like
one.
down.
Zelda's Battle Quest is on Nintendo
Yeah, it's
Land.
1-to-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's very
So
tight.
1-to-1.
Like the default setting is very tight. Like, and you have to. Some people talked about having to adjust the sensitivity and all that, which everybody plays differently, so that makes sense. But it is very, very tight as far as the motion sensing. So
That sounds like fun then.
yeah,
I think that's.
yeah. Go ahead.
I think I would prefer that method actually, since it's different. And it will be more, how can I say this, accurate, I guess, in terms of like turning or looking faster than an analog stick would anyway. I mean, it's more comfortable to use 2 sticks, but once you start getting that motion in place,
Right.
being able to move on your own, it just seems like you would be able to react a lot faster.
Well, the only downside to it that I saw was when you need to make like a really hard right hand turn or make a 360. It's best if you just flick the analog stick for that.
Okay.
But like the small adjustments or even the medium ones, gyro controls work flawlessly. The only downside, other thing I would think about mentioning is that you have to be careful how you're holding your gamepad like when the match starts.
Yes.
Or when you look down at the gamepad to see where you want to jump to, because while you're doing that, your character's not looking up at the sky, looking flat at the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
once you get the hang of it, it's so much more accurate and faster.
Yeah.
You just have to be aware of your movements, like Ken just said.
Yeah, it depends on where it depends on your movements and where you're sitting in your house, like how you have your stuff going.
Hey Ken, could you mute your mic whenever you're not talking, please?
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Just from my quick impressions of it. Obviously, I did a video on it. But the thing is, when I was at PAX, it was I didn't use the motion controls. So during the Global Test Fire, I was exclusively using the motion controls, and I like them better. I think Sean Long, I don't know if it was a tweet or whatever. I think it was a tweet. Sean Long from Nintendo Enthusiast, shout out to him. He said he really liked them, and I commented that I actually liked them a lot better too. And I think it'll give if you get really good at it, I think it might even give you an advantage. As far as like hitting people, not spreading your ink, but like shooting other players, I think you might have a little advantage there if you get really good at motion controls, which is not uncommon to us Nintendo gamers, because we know how that Wiimote nunchuck was, Call of Duties and whatnot on Wii. So some of those guys were beastly using those controls.
That conduit.
That conduit,
for a second.
What was that?
Can you speak for a sec?
Yeah.
One thing I've learned, and you guys just brought it up, a lot of people complain about the gyroscope because they never took the time to figure it out.
Right.
It's like a learning curve. Once you figure it out, it's so ridiculous how quick and accurate you become once you get it down.
Yeah. Like I never had a problem with people saying they rather use analog.
I mean, let them use
We've done it
option.
forever. Right. But the thing is, I don't like when people say that and they didn't really give the motion controls any real time, like to really get used to playing them that way. And they'll say stuff when they're talking about motion controls that is completely false. And it's like you don't use them, so what do you? That's completely false. So,
That's the problem I have in general. Like, it's particularly the press. They tend to use this buzzword unintuitive.
mm-hmm.
They do that a lot when it's something that they don't understand. There are plenty of games I've seen them outright slam because they completely did not know how to play them.
Yeah.
And
most notorious
blows
is
my mind.
Legend of Zelda,
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword. Thank you. That was the most notorious. I was like, these guys obviously are not doing something right, because how can my experience be that much different? I can understand it being a little different, but
Oh, and it takes some learning though, because I had the same initial complaints to myself when I first played it. I want to say through the first dungeon maybe,
mm-hmm.
and pretty much once after the first dungeon and whatnot, by the time I was fighting the second boss in Skyward Sword, dude, from that time all the way to the end of that game, there is no way you could tell me that Nintendo did not prove that motion control was definitely something to do that generation.
I think this comes back to, sorry to interrupt, it goes back to the whole thing where, it's still echoing, damn. Anyways, it goes to the whole thing where instant gratification, like people expect, and I might get it to some degree, that, you want the game to work perfect right off the bat, but you don't realize if you take the time to figure out the mechanics, you actually perform even better.
Right.
But everybody wants that instant pick
Here's
up
the
and
thing.
go.
To me,
You
as
gotta learn. Like any gamer, you have to learn how to play the game.
That's what I'm saying. That's part of gaming. Like that, I look forward to that learning curve, if you will, when I'm playing a game, because that's what gets me into. That's what excites me about gaming, is doing new things instead of just doing the same thing over and over again. So, yeah, we can beat this dead horse till it revives. But let's. Is everybody got in on this? I think yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, which is Nintendo cross Universal Studios. Yeah, Nintendo announced, or I don't know if it was Nintendo or Universal that announced that they're going to be having, specific, things at Universal for as far as rides and whatnot. I'm hoping a full-on Nintendo Land, a real, experience like that, not just like a Mario Kart section, or I just want like a full Nintendo Land area. And a lot of people are speculating that the Marvel stuff that they have there now would be the perfect place to do it. Obviously, Universal and Disney are competitors, and it wouldn't make sense for them to continue with the Marvel stuff, because you're basically free advertising for your competitor, so it doesn't make sense. And yeah, I mean, I just think it's cool. We've been wanting this forever. I know as Nintendo fans have been talking about this for a long time, and I think the game Nintendo Land actually revitalized that. So to actually get a real Nintendo Land would be very cool. So let's see what you guys think about that. Go ahead, Shep.
Well, I mean, they go to parks and stuff. So I mean, I really don't care.
All right, so Shadow.
Just because Universal's okay, stop. Actually, it's pretty cool. I'm actually very curious to see how they're gonna execute this. I've heard everything from F-Zero roller coaster to actual Mario Kart to making like a huge play gym, like a Mario 3D World setup. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I won't lie to you. It's the first time in years that I'm like, yo, I want to go Universal Studios.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say because they haven't really given us any information. All I know is, yes, I am hyped.
Yeah, I mean, I know obviously it's gonna be. Obviously, some people, like you just said, you don't really go to theme parks that much. I lived in Tampa, Florida for like half of my life, and it's very close to a lot of theme parks. Busch Gardens was one, so we used to go to all the time. Universal Studios, I loved, and same thing with Disney World. So theme parks was kind of part of my growing up a little bit. So I'm definitely super excited for that. But go ahead, Shadow Fox. What do you think?
Well, I was hearing I guess IGN was kind of commenting on it and things like that. And one of the things that they were trying to say was that this is going to benefit Nintendo more so than it will Universal.
Yeah.
And I kind of think the opposite is true, because Universal has everything to gain at this point, and if that means that a potential, I don't know, 20 to 30 million extra people that are fans of certain IPs are going to start wanting to go there, that aren't necessarily comic book fans or anything like that. And we all know the worldwide appeal that the video game version of Mickey is. So
right.
Basically, it would be their Disney World if they play their cards right. So I personally, I'm going into this with a little bit of cautious optimism, because it'll depend on whoever the team is that gets set up to put this stuff together. I've seen some of the stuff happen to Sega properties as far as like doing rides and stuff like that overseas, and yeah, it's a little ho hum. So as long as somebody dedicated to do that type of thing, or somebody on Nintendo of America side is actually there to, I guess, supervise and oversee that type of thing, everything should be. I think this will be a success, at least a moderate success, with regards to population, if you will.
Yeah.
It'll just depend on how they manage it from the beginning to the end, and market it as well. So.
I mean, you're right. IGN is definitely wrong on this, and that's nothing new. IGN is wrong on a lot of things, so but they're definitely wrong on this. It will be mutually beneficial, but it will definitely benefit Universal more. As a person who used to go to Universal Studios a lot, there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm and people walking around the park.
They hurting.
It was very, especially in the last couple of years when I went, it was very there wasn't that many people there. It was open. It was an open park, but it was really open because there wasn't a lot of people walking around. Most people in that area, at least in Orlando, they went to, they go to Disney World more, or even Busch Gardens. But this will definitely help them because obviously Nintendo fans are excited about this, and maybe if you haven't gone to a park in a while, this is incentive to go, and people start talking about Universal Studios more, because people usually don't talk that much about Universal Studios.
Exactly, it's usually Disney World.
Right, it's usually Disney World, and Disney has no trouble because obviously they acquired these new properties like Marvel, and so it's mutually beneficial for them to have Marvel rides and all that stuff there. And it's kind of a nice circle of life for them, but Universal doesn't really have that. Back to the Future was a long time ago, so they needed this shot in their arm, and it's definitely going to help them more than Nintendo. So, but yeah, go ahead, Mr. Red Fox. What do you think?
What can I say?
Yeah, you said already. So.
By the way, there's still an echo. I know it's not from my mic though. Maybe Shadow? Can you make your mic for a sec, sir? Okay, hello?
No echo. Huh.
Okay,
Weird.
so it was Shadow and Dr. Feelgood. That's weird.
That is weird. Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think that it would be mutually beneficial. For Nintendo, it's not going to be like they're going to get a whole bunch of proceeds from park rides and stuff like that, because I mean, those types of things take years to put into place and years for you to see a return. What they will see is the mind share. Yes. Because let's be frank, I mean, I'm just going to use my own personal experience. I love Ghostbusters. I went on the Ghostbusters experience at Universal Studios when I was a kid. I used to live in Florida, like Mizzah Tee. I live in southern Florida, but I mean, if you're a Floridian, you're going to go to Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, Disney World, Universal Studios. That's just where you're going to go. And Gatorland, because that's where they take kids all the time. But I digress with Gatorland. But and I went to go see Ghostbusters, and as soon as I left the Ghostbusters experience, I was buying, well, I was a little kid, begging my parents to buy the proton pack and the ghost trap, and and the action figures. So if Nintendo can basically get like a shop and some imaginative rides about their using their IPs done in a good way. Now, keyword, good way. That increases their mind share in a way that you just aren't going to see from Sony or Microsoft. So this is really going to help Nintendo increase their people's brand awareness of them. Because I mean, we know they make great games, but more people have to know they make great games. So that are worthwhile owning, and this is going to help because people are going to have their kids going, I want that Mario, Zelda, whatever. So you're going to get that. So excellent. It's gonna help them out.
That's exactly what I was talking about, helping them beneficially. I wasn't talking monetary. I was talking mind share. That's exactly what I was talking about. Obviously, you know, everybody that goes to these parks aren't gamers, so you know, I'm sure they're going to be, you know, a nice little arcade setup or something like that, and maybe they'll have like a stand where they sell the games, you know, and the systems even. They better do that if they're smart. So, because you go to a park, you're spending a lot of money, and you spend money that you wouldn't normally spend if you had a smarter, cooler head, you know, because you're out there and you just kind of do that impulse stuff. So
I'll be frank with you.
Way to go.
It wasn't even because I went to Universal Studios when. Like when a certain point in my career where I was kind of like 3 months from one job to another job, and I had a little bit of money saved, and my parents were like, you can stay with us. I spent like a month in Florida with my relatives, and like half of that month, like 2 weeks, I was at Universal Studios just doing stuff. Like I had like the 3-day pass, man. Just
That's the way to go, that 3-day pass.
That's the only way to do it.
What about you, Jay? What do you think?
Personally, I think it's a good idea. I know me and one of my coworkers was talking about it last week, and the thing is, like you said, I think it'll be good for a mind share as well as actually helping them out a little bit just by getting people you know, acquainted with their franchises. So, I mean, the ideas come to mind when you start thinking about, you know, what all they can do with it, like say like a Metroid laser tag, or even a paintball or Mario Kart, because I actually want to have an Electrodome. An actual Electrodome.
That would be dope, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the possibilities are endless, and actually it'd be beneficial to both parts, because like you said, yeah, Universal, most people just go to either Busch Gardens or go straight on to Disney World most times when you're down there, because I'm from that way, so I completely agree. I know how it actually goes. So
yeah, a lot of people go to Universal because you get the package deal.
Yeah,
you get, you know, and it's like, oh, I guess I'll go to Universal because my card says I can go. You know, nobody usually comes down there looking to go to Universal anymore. Early '90s, late '80s, maybe.
Busch Gardens to see the like the zoo type deal and get on some rides, or straight on to Disney World.
And that's horrible, because I mean, for me, Disney World, because I was one of those people that when I was a little kid, I enjoyed Disney World, but once you get to like a teenager, you're like, come on, man. Yeah. Plus, they got rid of all the really cool rides at Disney World. No more electronic tramway, the boats with the glass bottom so you can see the wildlife. Bye. It's like, come on, man.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though, with all these theme parks. They're not really made for teenagers. They're made for older people who have families, and they're made for the young kids. And if somebody can tap into that middle market, you know, that would be awesome. But they don't really market to like the teenagers wanting to go, because I didn't do a lot of going to these parks when I was a teenager, because they didn't really appeal to me, other than like, you know, getting on the fast rides and whatnot. So I think it'll benefit both parties, and monetarily it'll benefit Universal more, and mindshare wise it'll help Nintendo. So did you say anything, Ken, about it? Or?
No, I'm finally back in a party.
Oh, yeah, I saw you drop out and come back. So.
Is there still an echo with me?
No, you're good.
No.
Okay, what did I miss?
Right now we're talking about Nintendo Universal Studios deal. Just want to get your thoughts, if you have any.
I think I've told this to Red and on one of the BS buses I think we did recently, but I've never been to Universal Studios, guys, but I need you just to think for a moment. This is what I'm imagining in my mind. Imagine imagine a figure 8 little racetrack built for go-karts. And imagine there are little with either NFC tech or some type of little sensor in between that lay all over the track, just in random areas. And while you're driving around this little track, you can just scoop them up with your hand while you're racing and throw them at somebody. And if it hits somebody, that little sensor will disable their car for however long. I can see real life Mario Kart taking place.
Yeah.
There's just one thing.
I'm telling you, I will pull a double dash real quick.
There's just one thing. No blue shells.
Oh no! We're gonna have the blue shells. I'm gonna have two of them.
Oh man. Honestly, what I think as far as Mario Kart goes, yeah, you should probably have a Mario Kart themed go-kart track or whatever. Like just, everybody has a Mario Kart looking cart, and you just go around in your little track or whatever. But I also would like to see
the costumes on. That would be cool.
Right, yeah, that'd be cool too. Well, what I would also like to see though is something more akin to like that 3D Spider-Man experience where, cause you get to because you can't do the anti-gravity on a real track, you want to kill yourself, and to be able to do that, you can have that kind of a screen implemented 3D where it feels like you're being pulled up and going upside down and all that stuff. I think that'd be really cool.
What if they did do a double dash type where you have these two-seater carts and the person in the back handles the weapons?
That would be pretty crazy, yeah.
It's like they could make like little digital things on the ground, like if you roll over them, or like they give everyone an item every lap at random, and the way you use it, it just activate it or use it against another opponent. I think that would be pretty cool. Like kind of like when people fly in these jet planes or whatever, and one person pilots, the other person controls the weapons.
Yeah, I think with the Spider-Man ride, I'm pretty sure that was an interactive thing, and basically. Everybody in the audience was Spider-Man, and then the villains would pop out, and you have to do certain things, and you can feel the flames when they shoot it, all that kind of stuff. I think it would be something similar to that, where you get Mario Kart mixed in with a little Diddy Kong Racing, to where you're actually fighting a boss or something, maybe Bowser or whoever at the end, and it's kind of an interactive thing where it's Mario Kart, you still get the anti-gravity, cool zipping around stuff, but you also kind of have a theme to it, like a main. I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. I can see that. That would be very fun.
Yeah, they need to hire us to give them some ideas.
Well, I mean, hey, if nothing else, like you can design the promo materials, and I can be a photographer around the park taking pictures of people.
There you go.
One of the things that made me kind of enthusiastic about hearing about this was I was reading an article, and they where they were talking about Iwata when he reported his financial meeting for the end of their fiscal year, and he's like, yeah, we went to Universal Studios, but it turns out that their art directors and ride designers and engineers, they really have really specific ideas about our IPs that they want to rides they want to make. They're really into it. I'm like, come on, man, you guys got good stuff. People really want to do stuff with it.
Yeah, and they've been around so long that a lot of these people are actual fans, so they know what they would like to see, because being Nintendo fans themselves, what they want to see at the park. They're obviously engineers and designers, but they also grew up with Nintendo, and they're sitting back as a Nintendo fan and thinking what would be cool, and I think that's pretty awesome. So
I just want to see Luigi with the death stare beat down Mickey Mouse.
You gotta have the Luigi death stare. Maybe even call a section of it.
But only on the track. You can't have him walking around the park.
No. Freaking little kids out.
Now, although keep in mind that 36 years ago, Universal sued Nintendo about King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
They didn't have the rights to King Kong, which was hilarious.
Yeah, because it was public domain anyway, but whatever.
I mean, but what I'd like to see? I think they could really bring this to life in the best way compared to any other Nintendo IP. I would love to see Luigi's Mansion.
Oh yeah, Luigi's
kind of like
I can see them doing kind of a Ghostbusters Luigi's Mansion kind of thing, but keep it a big scary house with the creeping stairs, and I could really see them bring it to life even better than how they did with the little Harry Potter part. That would be really, really cool.
Get everybody. What is the pack called? The backpack.
It's the
flood.
3000.
Oh yeah, that's it. Give everybody one of those and have them go through and have it sensor based where they're actually doing stuff. It's very actually interactive. That would be cool as hell. That's a really good idea.
I can just see every time the kids open a door or whatever. Yeah, that little theme plays the little piano thing will play. And
That's pretty dope. I didn't even think about that. That's the most obvious, but yet I didn't even think about that. Luigi's Mansion. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So obviously the possibilities are endless when you come to something like this. So hopefully they'll won't be as generic as they can be, and they'll be even more inventive than what we're thinking. So, all right, let's move on to the next topic, and that is the 3D platformer getting a revival? I hope so. Obviously, with the Platonic
Ukulele.
destroying their goals with Ukulele as far as the Kickstarter goes, people really still want 3D platformers. Can you believe it? I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious that was a great genre. I don't know what happened in the industry to where people stopped making them, other than Nintendo, obviously. But it's just, to me, it's always been a really good genre. It was to get people, new players, into gaming, because it's, most 3D platformers are very they're more inviting than a lot of the games, especially a lot of games that come out today. With the big military shooters, the average person isn't going to get into that unless they've been playing it for years. And I think the platformer, because of the cartoon nature of the characters and the worlds, a lot of people will play those quicker than they would some of the those storied franchises. So yeah, I'm obviously super excited about it. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on. Do you think there's a resurgence going on, and are you happy about it? What do you think? Go ahead, Jay.
Actually, I'm actually looking forward to the whole ukulele thing. I like you. I don't understand why people stop doing that. But then, after I think about it, a lot of the mid-tier developers that used to do a lot of those games, they're not around anymore.
Good point.
So, I mean, yeah, those a lot of them were fun to play. So it's actually good to see that there is a lot of interest in being brought in for that particular game, especially seeing what it did on Kickstarter in a matter of hours. I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, it'll set up like more developers that have had past experience to get their stuff crowdfunded on Kickstarter, people that have left like their major companies, like your Koji Igarashi and other developers with that pedigree. If they go out and do their own indie companies, those indie companies can become those mid tiers that we used to have back in the 5th and 6th gen that provided a lot of good, fun, playable games. Most of them, which being some variation of a platform.
Yes, totally agree. Hopefully that's the way it's going with some of these bigger guys leaving their big companies and moving on to do other things. Yeah. What do you think about it, Mr. Red Fox?
I love it. I hope. I mean, I'm not going to say it's 100% because, I mean, the industry, the big guys in the industry want us to buy whatever's easiest for them to make. But, I mean, I love 3D platformers. I grew up on them, 2D and 3D platformers, and, I mean, I love those. I mean, even the ones that weren't so well, okay, except for Busby 3D, but the rest of them, even the ones that I didn't think were top tier, even the mid tier ones, were still pretty good. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as long as you have someone who's recently who has a decent grasp on what they want to do, you're going to get a good game. And I wish they would bring that back. I mean, even if they are collectathons, it's something to do that isn't just running around shooting things in the face, and that's always good. So.
Right. Okay. What do you think about it, Shadow Fox?
Pretty much what everybody else has been echoing for the most part. Yeah, we need that genre back. I also personally believe that the side-scrolling brawler needs to come back as well as we speak. I'm playing Final Fight 3, so it just seems to me that people have begun to develop a wheelhouse, if you will, and it's like, hey, these games sell. Let's figure out a way to make them as fast and efficiently as possible. So if that game doesn't fit that wheelhouse, they just don't even try anymore, and they completely quit out on that genre. I really like the fact that people are attempting to go for the old school side-scrolling action Mega Man style genre right now. So you see things like Shovel Knight and other games coming out, Mighty Number 9 and whatnot, that are trying to go for that old genre since Mega Man 9 did so well a couple of years ago. It just goes to prove that people will still want those types of games. It's just that don't give us shitty ones and stand behind the ones that you do make. So, if you made a good platformer for the PS1, a long time ago, and because the PS1 was I want to say, in my opinion, probably a pretty bad place for a 3D platformer, don't give up on that if you know that it sold well, but that platform didn't really cater to it that well. Like, you can still bring it out for another platform, or at least another Sony platform that obviously those things are a lot better now. So you should be able to believe in it. There's no reason for there not to be a medieval right now. I mean, there's no reason for MDK to not exist anymore. Those kind of things, like those genres, should be brought back again. And I think we've fallen into the doldrums of, if it doesn't look realistic, it doesn't sell. And those kind of things need to stop, because all we're doing is fostering another generation of gamers that think that's what equals fun, and it isn't. So core mechanics, core gameplay, it doesn't matter what the graphics look like, whether they're realistic or whimsical, if you will. Just make sure the core mechanics are down, and true gamers will follow. So the question is, do you want the true gamer to be your audience, or do you want people that like to impress other people to be your audience?
Very, very well put. Yes, and Jay made a great point about, like I said, the big guys branching off and starting their own companies and kind of replacing that mid-tier type of development house and studio. So hopefully that is the future of the third party, because the system can't sustain itself on the path it's on with only the AAA games, big titles that have been around the last 10 years getting all the shine, and a lot of these games that a lot of gamers obviously want. I mean, there's a reason that they shattered that Kickstarter in the first few hours. It's because we want this. We want this. So hopefully the industry took notice of that too, not just ukulele developers, Playtonic themselves, but hopefully the industry as a whole looked at that and said, wow, gamers still want these games. We should be making them. So hopefully that's what happens. I just want to give a shout out to a game on N64 that I'm surprised that most people didn't also get the connection. Obviously, Banjo-Kazooie, these guys were the guys who created that. A lot of them were. And but being the fact that, I don't know, I guess Yuka is the lizard or the chameleon.
Mm-hmm. And the other one
is the bat.
Right.
There's a couple games on N64 that started Chameleon called Chameleon Twist.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a 3D platformer, one of the smaller ones, obviously. I was surprised that a lot of people didn't think about that, with the main character in this game being a chameleon too. So looks like it's going to be quite different though, because the Chameleon Twist games are more about the platforming using your tongue and stuff. So that's what that was about. But did everybody go give your thoughts? I think so, yeah. So let's move on from that. Since we're getting a little nostalgic, let's talk about a Sega franchise that we'd like to see return. Sega's been in a little financial trouble and a little development trouble lately. I forgot what podcast I was in. I was talking about the fact that they have all these amazing, I think it was Terminator Juice. They have all these amazing IPs that are just not used at all.
They have a treasure trove.
A treasure trove. Like, I think even more so than a Nintendo, because Nintendo still obviously uses a lot of their IPs that were big. There's some, there's obviously ones we like to see make a return, but for the most part, Nintendo is still Nintendo. But Sega, man, wow.
Should we go down the list?
I think so.
Let's see.
I'll let you guys go into it. Go ahead, Shadow.
Well, there's obviously Virtua Fighter. There's been enough of those, but Virtua Fighter, Virtua Tennis, Virtua Cop, House of the Dead. I mean, we can just keep on going. I mean, Fighting Vipers, Phantasy Star. Not Phantasy Star Online. I mean, I would like to see Phantasy Star Online 2 come here, but obviously Sega's giving up on that. But Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
I mean, What's the other name of the game with the heroine with the afterburners on her back? Well, Afterburner is also a game, but
Afterburner. Nice.
what's the name of that game? Space Harrier.
Space Harrier.
So a true Sonic game. I mean, obviously they've tried everything they could, but they need to try a little harder. Plenty of things. Billy Hatcher could come back.
Billy Hatcher.
You know, I mean, who knows? They have a lot of stuff. The obvious one would be, you know, Shenmue.
Streets of Rage, man.
Yeah, I mean, Streets of Rage. I'm playing Final Fight right now. Like, come on, it needs to happen. They need to bring that stuff back. Like, I know it's kind of hard. Like, they've tried to do Final Fight in 3D a lot, and it hasn't really worked well. But with the advent of like Street Fighter 3 bringing 3D back to the 2D space, something similar to that is obviously possible. It doesn't have to be a Castle Crashers game. It could be a 3D game and still have that isometric view or that third person view. It can still work.
Yeah. And the best thing to me about these games, especially specifically some of these genres, like the 2D brawler, side-scrolling brawler, and what was the other one? Well, basically, is that these don't have to be like overly expensive, AAA games. You can make these games and sell them for $30 or $20 even, and you know, obviously, we really want these things. You know, just like we proved that we still want 3D platformers. So
at this point, you can make a Streets of Rage game. You can make a retail Streets of Rage game, which means you pay for it to go to the store and you press disc for them, and it will cost significantly less than any of the other games that are being made right now in full 3D and all that other kind of crazy. You can ship that out the door in months.
And we have good examples of bringing us into quote unquote the 3D realm with these games. There are games that came out during the 32, 64-bit era that were attempting to do that, but you know, a lot of times those games got caught up in the technology. Again, back to we can do so much more now with this quote-unquote realism that we can do now. We got away from the games that the 8-bit and 16-bit genre games, and we had this moment in here where you had games like, I know Dr. Phil's gonna give me trouble for this one, but what's the game? Fighting Force. It wasn't a great game, but you can see how to bring that 2D brawler into a 3D world and still be pretty effective. Obviously, that game had some issues with controls, but that's basically all you'd be fixing. Those games were still a lot of fun to play. So.
See, I actually mentioned this in Red Fox's podcast. I was like, you know, I want them to bring Streets of Rage to the modern times, not modernize it. You can leave Axel's face completely the same. I don't need Nathan Drake's 5 o'clock mustache or beard. I just don't need it. Like, he can look exactly the same as he did back then. I said, but it can even still be a 2D brawler with maybe 3D, you know, like just like a kind of like Marvel's Capcom 3 in a sense. It can be like that. It can be completely side scroller. If you want to add a 3D, you know, I say playability to it, it could be somewhat like the Tekken Force mode, but not so clunky. Keep the same controls, but it doesn't have to even be that advanced. Like, don't give me all this extra stuff. Like, just keep it as simple as it was back then. Give me attack, give me jump, give me a run, and give me a special. That's all I need. Just like the platformers that you were talking about earlier. Those games were simple yet fun. We didn't need every button on the damn controller.
Nope.
We needed the Genesis had a 3-button controller originally, and that actually worked for the bulk of their games, even after they released a 6-button controller.
Yeah. The thing is, like, here's the thing that drives me crazy is that we are the audience that spends the most money, but we don't buy the most. You know, we don't buy the most of those quote unquote popular games, but we spend the most money in gaming because we're the ones who were groomed on the side-scrolling brawler, beat 'em up,
RPG,
the platformers and the RPGs. So the thing is, we're adults now, so we can actually spend our own money to buy this stuff.
Historically, we have larger libraries per platform, also.
Exactly. We totally do that. So
the average person that buys Call of Duty all the time, they probably don't have more than 10 games per console generation that they actually own. Well, I can say that at least all of us have owned at least 20 probably per console.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, obviously, because there's always the exception all the time. So,
well, I can see that, Shadow Fox, because I think there were actually 10 Call of Duties on the Xbox 360. So I see what you mean.
So maybe
if I go back,
there
was three Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, World at War. Then you have Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, Advanced Warfare. Yeah, it's about 10 on the 360.
That's
maybe 360 was an outlier because you also had Madden, so that puts you at 20 games right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it depends. But you get the joke. It's okay.
Yeah. And the point is that we are the guys who grew up on these games. We are adults now with our own incomes, and we want these games, and we'll spend money on them. You know, sometimes we reluctantly buy those other games because we can't get the game that we want. So give us what we want, and you'll make a lot more money, and we'll be happier. So, anybody else got thoughts on that, or?
Nah, bring on the platformers, man. That's all I say. Because if you bring those on, that means Nintendo has to step their game up, and I mean they're the only people making them right now. So.
Yeah, I've made the point before. Is that as sad as it was to see Rare go, I thought it would still be cool because at least they were the one company that pushed Nintendo as far as the games that Nintendo was really good at making.
On their own platform.
On their own platform. I mean, it's pretty storied that Miyamoto was definitely feeling the heat from those Rare guys back in the Super Nintendo and N64 days. That's one of the reasons he took a shot at Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo back in the day because he was feeling pressure from his bosses, I'm sure, about how cool that game was. So when Rare went to Microsoft, I thought, okay, it's sad to see them go, but at least they'll be making these really cool games, and maybe they'll be able to do things they couldn't do when they were at Nintendo. And yeah,
that was a hope against hope right there.
Yeah, that obviously did not happen, and so competition is good. People say it. I don't think they really mean it. A lot of people say it, but competition breeds, better games. That's what we need. We need people to push Nintendo. Outside of people that make YouTube videos, because most part Nintendo doesn't care about that stuff. They need other companies that do what they do to push them. Hopefully we're on a path that brings back some of this stuff. And that's it for my topics. Anybody got anything they want to throw out there before we close it?
Splatoon!
Splatoon.
I only have one thing to say. Support new ideas and new innovations in gaming. Hashtag I got splatted.
I got one thing to pass, and that is all the questions we have on the questions list here.
Oh, yes. See, Mizzah Tee is very new to hosting these things, and I don't even know where that is. Can you direct me to the questions?
Q&A on the left, and you can pick which ones you want to answer.
Yeah.
On the left, and it is the one that says Q&A on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run through these questions. That's cool. Let's see here. Do we really want to get into voice chat questions about Splatoon?
I think I kind of touched on that. There will be a 6-hour shadowcast on that at some point.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay's Dave 12. I think that's how you say your name. I'm actually going to do a video on it. My last video on the subject. So hopefully everybody here will do the same if they feel the need to address it. But we're not going to go into it here because it'll get crazy. So. Somebody said, do you think beat 'em ups are good for? I think we just touched that. Platinum, Koei, Tecmo, so yeah, okay. What do you guys think Next Level Games is making? Anderson Arquila wants to know. Actually just got wind of this today, so I haven't had that much time to think about it. I remember it being mentioned before, I just forgot about it. Next Level, what do they mostly did? They mostly do like, what do they do? I know they did Luigi's Mansion.
They worked on that, and that's what I'm hoping they're making for the Wii U.
Right.
It could be a direct port with HD. I don't care, but I hope that's what they're making for the Wii U.
Yeah, I mean that game was so good. I've always said that is a console game. If you've played it, and it just would make a lot of sense. I'd play it again. I don't care about what anybody thinks about that. I go out and double dip and buy the game again because I just, that'd be a great reason for me to get back into it. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
No, I just knew they're supposedly making a Wii U project. So I don't know if they're trying to do a Luigi's Mansion for Wii U or some other type of Nintendo property. They tend to be pretty good with keeping true to original properties' roots. So hell, I wouldn't mind them making F-Zero. I've heard that rumored at some point too on other more popular podcasts. So yeah, we can. I don't know. We can go ahead and throw that out there. So, or maybe they're the ones working on Star Fox.
Oh, that could be. Yeah. I just saw a question. It's gone now. What happens when they go to the beginning or the bottom?
When somebody submits a new question, it auto scrolls. So you have to stay on top of it.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I see it now. All right. Let's see. Gumpachi wants to know if we like to see black ink in Splatoon. Yeah, obviously Splatoon is racist against the black ink, and
trying to keep the black squid down.
Trying to keep the black squids down. We all know that the ink from those animals is actually black. Not all these crazy colors that Nintendo throwing at us.
But you know what though? If they did, it wouldn't surprise me. Like to me, I can see them doing it, having a black versus white, and like the whole level's like all black and white. I can see that. That would be pretty fun.
Yeah,
it would be pretty fun, but it only takes the right amount of people to make that go the wrong way. Because especially with people being able to hide behind no voice chat and all that other kind of stuff too. Like there would
have
be
a
no way.
Like, which is better, black or white?
All right, next question. Capable Tie 7, I think. We're gonna move on. I think it's to me specifically, but you guys can jump in if you want. T, are you getting Witcher 3, Arkham Knight, or Metal Gear 5? Yes, and maybe. That's as far as Metal Gear 5 goes. I'm getting Witcher 3. I don't know if I'm going to get it day one. It's pretty close. I'm kind of busy right now. But it'll be definitely pretty soon, next few weeks or a month. Arkham Knight, I probably won't buy that game until Batman vs. Superman comes out because a lot of the DLC seems to be pretty cool, and it's too expensive. I'd rather wait for a Game of the Year edition or something that gives me that stuff than support what I feel are kind of tacky DLC practices. But I know some people see it differently. But I plan on buying the game if they give us a Game of the Year edition that gives us the DLC. I'll just put it like that. Or used if it's cheap enough before then. Let's see. What do you guys thoughts on that or on those games?
I'm not going to support Arkham Knight as much as I do want to play the game.
Yeah.
And those that want to play the game, nothing against you, nothing like that. You're free to do what you like. But my reason is because even if you just buy the game, you're letting developers know, for the most part, they can give you basically half a game and sell you the rest of it. I personally believe that what they're offering, skins, Batgirl story, and a few missions, to me it's like, come on now. All this was probably more than likely finished before the game was even announced. So
and yeah, I mean, as a fanboy, the Batgirl story is the thing I care about the most. And
I can see that, but
I don't feel like
that's
paying
also like the Harley Quinn thing on the other one.
I don't feel like paying for it, and I just think, for them to put it out there, as DLC ahead of time.
Yeah.
It just bothers me. I don't know.
I'll buy it when the Game of the Year edition is $20.
Yeah, I can't okay, the game's $60 and then you want like $39.99 for the rest of the game. So it's $100 game. Like literally, if they just were like, it's $100 game, you get everything. I'd be like, okay. I mean that's expensive, but all right, you get everything, $100, okay. But I mean, they're like, it's a game, and they're sorry. It's WB.
Another slippery slope. I don't want to really go through, but
it's WB. They've been doing this, so I'm not surprised. I'm not getting it. I'll probably get Witcher 3 though.
Yeah.
Game and PC.
Definitely getting Witcher 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's move on. Capable Ty, another question. Have I gotten Ori yet? No, I haven't. I plan on getting it very soon. So I
got it.
Really good things about it. So
Downloaded it, haven't started it yet.
yeah.
Yeah, I downloaded it on Steam. It's decent.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up definitely. Let's get another question in. Foxshot. He's got a few. Have you played Star Fox Assault on GameCube? Looking back, what do you think about the game? I have played it on GameCube. I like the direction they went, trying to evolve Star Fox beyond, the rail shooter. But just the controls were just ass.
Yeah.
that was the main problem with that. I actually hope they bring back some of the aspects of Assault. I've talked about this before. Recently in Terminator Juice's podcast, he didn't like the idea, but I think the ground missions are okay. They've already confirmed that they're doing the tank, and you can seamlessly come from the ship to the tank, the R-wing to the tank. So they're going in a direction I like. I hope they do more of that. I would like to see Fox on foot, because I did like that stuff. I just thought the controls weren't very good. Yeah, any of you guys, what do you think about that?
Me personally, I think if they just took the Star Fox Adventures engine, like as far as the ground combat goes, and mix that with the default stuff that Namco had for the air stuff, you have a winning formula. The ground combat was such a jarring experience coming from, like, because there were a couple of levels where you would fly in an R-wing and you land at a certain point, and then you had ground missions after that. I mean, there was ground things to do, tasks to do in that same area. That was like such a jarring experience. So it almost felt like you had to do what Factor 5 did and segment the ground and the air areas so it isn't so bad, because that's a lot of the reason why people complained about the ground experience. It was just because it was so drastically different from the air experience. I want to say, I don't think I'm going to be the only one to say that for the most part Namco nailed the air stuff. As far as all the flight missions were perfect. The music was on point. The pacing was on point. There was nothing I had issues with regard to that at all. It was always something dealing with I won't say optional, but side mission pieces where you had to go somewhere else and activate something and some of that effect, and then get back in the R-wing.
Yeah, I will say that my other gripe, other than the controls for the ground stuff, the tank even, was the design. I wasn't a huge fan of the insectoid look of the R-wing in that game, and kind of the insectoid look to a lot of stuff. But that's a minor gripe.
That may have been. I don't know if that was Namco's take or Nintendo overall told them to go for that or what. But I'm fairly sure that a lot of the assets are probably assets that they already had around. But I don't know.
Yeah, because it definitely the design. There's a phrase for it, for the type of design. I guess the art design. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The art design just was a little bit weird to me. Like I said, it felt very insectoid. The colors, yeah. But yeah, the flying was definitely on point.
That soundtrack was on point too.
The soundtrack was great. Yeah.
So basically, like the land style of Adventures on Dinosaur Planet with the flight missions of Assault. That actually sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. What I was actually thinking is
Rare kind of screwed that up, with the exception of the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, because that stuff was shoved into Dinosaur Planet, to where I feel like the ground stuff was shoved into Assault. But what I would like to see actually a little bit more than just Star Fox Adventures would be more of a Jet Force Gemini feel to the ground stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I'm kind of wanting.
That's kind of more what I was saying, but I was saying like control it more like adventure. Not necessarily saying he's pulling out a staff or anything like that, but he will move in the same fashion and fire a weapon.
That would really be cool if they did a Star Fox game, like a spin-off where it was just strictly just them going around shooting people. Maybe for a melee attack they had that beam saber from Smash Brothers, because come on, It would fit. It would fit.
You know, I think it could be a really good game, considering what Nintendo has been researching and digging around with. Like at the end of this month, Splatoon comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo is obviously tweaking, shooting mechanics at this point. And not only shooting mechanics, but shooting and moving, not Gears of War stop and pop, if you will. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that they have the talent and they have the opportunity to make it happen. Flying mechanics they've always had down, no matter who they had behind the helm. Even Star Fox Command on the DS was pretty awesome when it came to that. So it's just, in my opinion, I think that if they're doing what they're doing right now, what they're showing us right now, we should have a pretty good product on our hands when it comes to all facets of Star Fox gameplay and combat. I think we're pretty much good to go on that if they make good on everything they've already shown us, because they've shown us a lot of things they were able to do. If you look at Pikmin 3, if you look at Wonderful 101, if you look at Splatoon, hell, even if you look at Mario Kart and the way that they use LODs and things of that nature in Global Illumination, like we're probably going to see some pretty cool things in that game.
Yeah, agreed. All right, next question. Hope I don't butcher your name. Lupuchilo, I think that's how you said. He says, "Nice to see Shadow Fox on the Gamers at Large podcast."
Thank you.
Question. I think this is mostly to you. Was the Sega Saturn really difficult to program for, or is it just a myth perpetuated by naysayers and game magazines to stroke the PS1 fans?
As with all things you hear, always the truth is always somewhere in the middle, right? So the PS1 is obviously write C code or write C++ and go. Like it compiles and there you go, right? You have the N64, which everybody thought was notorious for everything, but you pretty much knew what you were going to get with regards to coding and output, right? With regards to the Sega Saturn was designed in the same facets, I want to say, the GameCube was designed. It was very specific for what it was designed to do. In the era of pre-3D graphics, the Sega Saturn was supposed to be the ultimate 2D machine, similar to how the GameCube was the ultimate 480p machine, if you will. So, and to some extent, the Wii. So you had 3 different processors on that system, right? All of them could be used for game code. One of them could be used for auxiliary sound, if you will. But there were 2 separate processors in there. You could program in C++ if you wish and deal with a whole bunch of issues and memory issues that you have to deal with because your files are obviously going to be larger. Or you could deal with writing C or being smarter and trying to figure out how to bypass the interpreter and write straight assembly yourself and get better results. So you had to either be a clever programmer that wanted to basically go around the IDE, or you knew exactly what you were doing for one processor. The second processor nobody really knew how to use other than to generate the main sprite for the game, which is what the Saturn was based around. It's like, hey, we're going to make very giant sprites or very colorful sprites with a lot of frames of animation, and we pre-program code on the hardware just for that. Program to it. Give us your objects, give us your assets, and we'll generate it for you in the operating system or what have you.
So is it safe to say that basically, because I read, like, I think a couple years back that the Saturn was like a 3-core, system. Is it safe to say that basically it was just kind of ahead of its time?
It was. I would say no, because what it is that the Motorola chip was the third one. It was almost like a ASIC, if you will, just like a very, very advanced interconnect that knew very specific things, and it could channel memory to and from, specifically for smaller things like audio files, if you will. Whereas I guess it was called the SCH1 and SCH2 were the 2 main CPU cores on the Sega Saturn, and they basically handled all your main function, all your main code to and from the compiler. So your memory issues, and also the Saturn has split memory, so you had to deal with sending kilobytes and megabytes of memory to and from RAM, and both CPUs had to be aware of it at the same time. and everything that you compiled had to be adjusted in that order, so you wouldn't get errors in output or unpredicted things once you actually made your GOB file and sent it out. So it's how can I say this? If you made a Sega Saturn game before, your second Sega Saturn game would be awesome. Just put it that way. You would learn by experience through your first product. A lot of people kind of like the PS2 got a bad taste in their mouth and left, and and in the PS2's case, it was to their detriment because the PS2 ended up being wonderfully successful. In the case of the Saturn, ended up being, in retrospect, a wise case to jump ship. Yeah. But the Saturn was always a really capable console. I had no idea how that thing did 3D because the way the CPUs are set up and the way the graphics inside is set up, it's almost at a disadvantage to programming 3D for it. But people were able to do it, obviously very well. So it all depends on the talent and that you have behind your team and how much you believe in your product. And that goes for any hardware out there. The advantage of having a console is it's garbage in, garbage out, and you should always know what your results are going to be, with the exception of, whereas on PC, a million different things can happen. That hardware is always the same. So if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. Yeah. So if you look at it that way, people gather together in cliques with regards to sharing information. Sega wasn't really good at giving information for anything other than their stock compiler and their stock environment that they gave to people. And a lot of people didn't want to go with that. They wanted to go with a cheaper route, and as well as a least expensive route with regards to time programming and paying people to build an application. So they went with other stuff and then complained about it. Well, you can't really complain about it if you didn't use the things that were set in place to make you successful. Yeah. So that's like blaming the GameCube because it didn't run, DirectX 8 style APIs. Like, what were you expecting to achieve? It's custom designed to run like OpenGL stuff. Why would you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't blame the hardware for something you should be able to know. If you're going to buy, are you going to buy a video game and then be mad because you don't know how to use 2 analog sticks?
Hell yeah.
That's more of the issue. That's more of the issue that we're seeing with, especially with developers today. It was an issue back then, but it wasn't as prominent. Now all we see is developers bitching, and people are making up for their bitching instead of holding their feet to the fire and saying, look, as a publisher, you own the bill for this. Either you develop it the way you're supposed to, or your game doesn't sell, period. Yeah. Either way, you're paying that licensing fee up front.
Yeah. Obviously, I did a video on the rise and fall of Sega Saturn. Go watch that if you haven't, Chilo.
Sega Saturn.
I did I did a lot of research on it. Sega Saturn is my second favorite console of all time, and so it was close to my heart, to do that research and find out this stuff.
We got
I will say,
common.
right. I will say, as far as the Sega Saturn goes, it was definitely partially Sega's fault because they built the chipset for the Saturn, and then they realized that the industry was going 3D, and they tried to fix that retrospectively, and it didn't work out. That's why the architecture isn't as cohesive as it could have been. Because they did build it to be a 2D beast, and it was that. There was no other console out there putting out arcade perfect ports.
And Rayman, oh god.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I can go on the list, and the sad thing was we didn't get a lot of those ports because of the stupid practices of the Sega of America.
X-Men versus Street Fighter, baby.
And it was sad because Sega was in the driver's seat. They could do no wrong, and they did everything wrong with the Saturn. So
let's be frank. It wasn't Sega. It wasn't Segata Sanjiro's fault. It was
Bernie Stoller.
Sega of America did more to hurt Sega overall than, you cannot, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Yeah. And even then, it wasn't all Sega of America's fault. Sega Japan also did some really stupid things. Sega was throwing, in the mid-'90s, Sega was throwing everything at the wall, including the kitchen sink. They didn't have to. They didn't have to do all that. Even when the Saturn was failing, if they would have just stuck to it, wrote it out, and then came out with the Dreamcast in 2000, 2001, we might be in a different world today. But they didn't do that. They did what they always did in that time, which is panic and try to throw something out there quick, and that didn't serve them. But yeah, I can go on and on about that. Like I said, it's my second favorite.
I felt that as video game fans, we believed in Sega more than Sega believed in itself.
Yeah, totally.
Yep, I'm one of them.
Totally agree with that. We'll do one more question and we gotta get out of here. Let's see. I don't want to answer any more Star Fox questions because we kind of.
There's one about Splatoon lower.
Okay. Yeah, I already answered one of those questions. I just want to make sure I got everybody. I didn't get I don't really want to go into that though. Let's go ahead and go with that. The capable Taiwan about Splatoon. What was it? Is that the one you're talking about? Will any abilities in Splatoon be overpowered, like Juggernaut and Stopping Power were? I think damage up, speed up, defense up, and ink will all be necessary competitively. So
I don't think that they're going to be overpowered because actually they weren't overpowered in those games. I still own the first Modern Warfare, which they had. I think it was the last one that had both Stopping Power and Juggernaut in it. And basically, they weren't overpowered. If someone had Stopping Power and you didn't have Juggernaut, I mean, that's the rock, paper, scissors effect. I mean, you were at a disadvantage. But at the same time, if Stopping Power ran into a Juggernaut, it was an even match. But if you chose Stopping Power, you were actually...
Yeah, he dropped out.
Okay, go ahead. To Clay, but to me, it was never overpowered. Now, when Modern Warfare 2 came along and it had Stopping Power but no defense perk, that's when I can say it was kind of overpowered and they were at a disadvantage because there was nothing in the game to counter that. But this game, from what I can see, and I'm going to release an analysis video about this, every one so far, every little perk, so to speak, seems to have a counter.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, yeah.
But even in that, I just don't like seeing a lot of gameplay of this. Now I can't really speak because I haven't necessarily played it yet. But from all the footage that I've seen in this game until now, it doesn't even seem like anything being overpowered would even be an issue with the game because the game itself isn't about that really. So somebody could be walking around, demolishing everybody whatsoever. What's to stop you from thinking, hey, he's demolishing people? Just send people over here so I can just paint this whole area.
Right.
Well,
you get what I'm saying? So even when it comes to, hey, these people are unstoppable when it comes to kills, you're still winning the game because you're outmaneuvered.
Right. Exactly. If there's anything that I think could be overpowered in Splatoon, it's that special attack where it's like a nuclear strike.
The ink strike.
That's the only thing that I could think that could be overpowered. Because if you have 4 people on your team and they all have that and they save up their special and coordinate it, I don't see a counter to that. I don't.
I mean, I can see that, but as I said, I play all 3 of them, and I can the test fires, and I can honestly say, I used all the classes. And I know they were just pre-set up, but nothing so far seems overpowered. I mean, even a damn roller, when you're using it, yes, it's easy to just roll over anyone shooting at you. But as I mentioned in your cast, Red, this game has one thing I have not seen in any shooter, and that's that when 2 people are shooting at each other or coming at each other, you can both actually die. Like if you look at for example, Call of Duty. If 2 snipers have each other in their sights for a headshot, the one that fires first, they can both fire their bullets 1 millisecond apart, but the one that fired last is going to die.
Yeah.
Because the bullet doesn't travel instantly across the screen, but that's the way the game is set up, even in Battlefield. But in this game, I've actually been about to mop over someone with the roller. They're shooting at me, and I killed them, but they got enough shots off in the air before I hit them that I got killed as well.
Yeah, I've seen in a couple of playthroughs that 2 people steamrolling each other, they'll just kill each other.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another thing I like is that they cancel each other out. So even if they have more ink left in their container, 2 rollers, actually you both win and you both lose. So you both get points for it, but you both also get killed. It gets sent back to your respawn.
Yeah.
You literally cancel each other out no matter what's going on, unless you hit them from the back.
All right, one last question. I'll take because he only asked one question, and I didn't get to any of his. So, Tony Kanami Karan, and this is the first I'm hearing of it, but he asks, why are these FOOS, nice, comparing Xenoblade Chronicles X to Bloodborne?
What? Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, I didn't know that was happening.
Can I answer this one?
First I've heard.
Can I answer this one?
Sure. Go ahead.
The reason why is because the people who are doing it, the Sony fans, they've had almost nothing except multiplats. This is the first exclusive that they have on their console, and they desperately need to see that. I mean, they spent $400 plus $60 for the PlayStation Plus and whatever else. They need to know that they have value in what they put their money down on. They need that positive reinforcement. They need to know. So they're going to hype it up, even if it's a completely different genre, a completely different game, they need something to hold on to, and that's what they're holding on to. So,
yeah, this is the first I've heard of it. I don't know why people would compare them. They're wildly different games. You probably can get more different, unless Bloodborne was a platformer or something. I don't know. But you know, I'm looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles X. Obviously, love Xenoblade Chronicles on Wii. And yeah, they're very different. Bloodborne isn't my cup of tea. But it looks like a really cool game.
But they should be comparing it to Bayonetta, not Xenoblade.
I guess, yeah, I mean,
Bayonetta's not even like Bayonetta, though.
Yeah, Bayonetta's is like way faster. And,
yeah,
Bayonetta's not an RPG. You got to compare an RPG to an RPG. You can't compare, like, Bloodborne isn't, Bloodborne is kind of an RPG, I guess.
It has quote-unquote RPG elements.
But
yeah, I would say it's closer to Monster Hunter
Zelda.
than it is anything else.
Not even Monster Hunter. You can only compare it to other games in the series, really, because there's nothing else like it. Dark Soul, not Dark, Demon Souls.
Dark Souls something.
Yeah, Demon Souls, Dark
Demon
Souls.
Other dungeon crawler or something like that. You can probably compare.
Well, I mean, of that scope, because there are other like dungeon crawlers that have semi-permadeath and like that are supposedly really hard and stuff like that, but they're like not on the same scale as Dark Souls, Dead Souls, Demon Souls, King's Court, which was technically the first game in the series.
I mean, I hope that was only like 2 or 3 people making a comparison, and not some big thing, some posting on some website.
Now Skyrim, I could see that, but even then, the combat is so different. It's
just very different.
When next are we going to compare Splatoon to Ace Combat or something?
Why not? If we're doing that, but
Portal was a better game. What the? Okay.
Very weak comparison. But anyway, that's it. That's all the questions. So let's go ahead and get out of here. This has been, obviously, Gamers at Large, episode 63. And I've been your host, Mizzah Tee, and let's everybody get their sign-offs, starting with Dr. Feelgood.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. As I always say, folks, keep it gaming, and Splatoon, baby. Get splatted.
All right, and Mr. Red Fox?
This is Mr. Red Fox. I'm trying this now. Try this on for size. Is that the best you've got? I don't know. That probably won't work. Fail.
I'm sure they'll play better in history.
Whatever. This is Mr. Red Fox. I'll come up with something cool in the future. Maybe not. Just play your games. Don't play games because other people think it's cool. If you don't enjoy something, don't play it. If you do, I don't care if other people don't think it's cool. Play it.
You're kind of stepping on my boy's outro. Go ahead, Shadow Fox.
All right, it's Road Ninja K9 Descend, and I have not been around because I've actually been playing games and doing the IRL thing, if you will. There will be a lot of me, I guess, at some point now since I have time now. So, check out all of Gamers at Large for all your gaming needs. And as I always say, do you play games to have fun or to impress other people? And on a side note, check your facts or you'll end up doing a hangout with me, and it's probably not good if we do that.
Cool. All right, and Jay?
Well, had a good time tonight. It was a great podcast. Look forward to getting on the midweek one this week. We're gonna have a little bit of a special going on, and other than that, just have fun, people. Peace.
All right, folks, and this has been your host, Mizzah Tee, for Gamers at Large, episode 63. Ooh, I'm rhyming. It's been great. Check out my channel this week. I plan on having upwards of 6 videos. I'm going on vacation to Jamaica this weekend, so I'm gonna be out for a while, and so I'm trying to get a lot of content out this week before I go. So make sure you check me out, check everybody out. You know, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and most importantly, play Nintendo Fools. And we out. Peace.